Go for it.
Okay, so I did, should those with an autosomal dominant disease have children? And I want to start off by asking, would you have children knowing you're going to pass a terrible disease on to them? You don't actually have to answer that, but many people with autosomal diseases are having children, ultimately forcing them to have the disease as well. And then, I'll show you a video real quick.
Pause.
Hi, welcome to Bear Genes. My name is Hallie, and I'm a genetic counselor at Children's National Medical Center. Today I'll be talking about autosomal dominant inheritance. As you may know, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. 22 of these pairs are the same in males and females. These are called the autosomes. Because we have 2 copies of each chromosome, we also have 2 copies of each gene. Autosomal dominant conditions are observed when the gene is located on one of the autosomes, and disease symptoms occur when one copy of the gene has a mutation and the other copy does not. In some families, the condition is inherited from a parent, and sometimes it is not inherited, but rather due to a new mutation occurring for the first time in the family. This is called a de novo change. Each child of a person with an autosomal dominant condition has a 50% chance to inherit that condition, like the flip of a coin. Thank you for watching Bear Genes.
Okay, so autosomal dominant diseases are more common than you may think, and many people are having children while they have them, which puts their children at very high risk for the disease as well. I have done research over this topic as well as I've studied it in my college biology class, and I'll be going over what is an autosomal dominant disease, what is an autosomal dominant disease, examples of these diseases, what it has to do with having children, and what happens if they decide to not have children. Then I will discuss my point of view. So I'm going to start off with what is an autosomal dominant disease, and it's basically when one affected parent has the gene on their allele, and an allele is just like, I thought I had the exact definition, but it's basically just like a affected gene, and so when it's passed down to their children, if 2 affected parents are together and they have children, then all of their children will be affected, but if a affected parent with a non-affected parent has children, 50%. So there's always the 50% chance, but if 2 affected parents are together, then there's 100% chance. It does not skip generations, and if you have an unaffected parent, they will not transmit the trait unless there's a mutation like the girl was talking about in the video. And it says 50% chance of getting the disease. That's if one parent is unaffected. Next are examples of the autosomal dominant disease. So if you look, this one is the Marfan syndrome, Huntington's disease, von Willebrand's disease. This shows what the Huntington's disease affects. And then that's the Onpro, I can't really say it, but some of them are serious, others aren't as serious. Like obviously, the one in the top right corner just makes you a midget. So, I mean, you're not really that much affected, but other ones like these are more serious and life-threatening. And then this is just a way to remember these diseases. It's very powerful, dominant humans, and that's just the list of it. Now, what does that have to do with having children? Like I said before, 50% of their children will be affected if they have children with someone that isn't affected. However, most affected parents aren't having children with normal parents. I don't want to say mate with each other, but they have children with the same type of people. So normally 100% of their children are affected, which only puts more children with these diseases out in the world. And a lot of these diseases can result in premature death, and if they survive past childhood. And if you look at the pictures, these are just more of the diseases. How do you use the pointer?
There's no
There's
pointer.
not one? Okay. But this one is one of the disease, and then this one is the same disease. That's an x-ray of the bones, and that's the kid, like obviously not doing an x-ray. And then this middle is a normal kidney, and these kidneys around it are ones that are polycystic, which all of these are very serious diseases. If they don't decide to have children, a lot of people are like, well, that's not fair if they can't have children. But I actually found that a study showed 7 reasons why you shouldn't have children. And one of them is having children contributes to global warming. They actually found that not having children would reduce global warming. And then parents tend to be less healthy than non-parents, typically because you are going out to eat because you have a child, and and they don't have time to exercise, things like that. And then having a child can negatively impact your parents' happiness. It was found that those without children in a relationship are typically happier, which is kind of true because it's less stressful, but I mean, I would say having a child is worth the stress, but so overall, not having a kid could be beneficial in other ways than just preventing the outcome of having a child with a terrible disease. The negatives of not having a child could be things like social or personal effects in adults' lives, according to Wikipedia, so they would just be sad that they didn't have a child. So should those with autosomal diseases have children? I personally think no, unless it's like I don't want to say midget disease, but if you're just going to be a midget, then like, that's not a big deal. But if they have something that's like very serious, life-threatening, that the baby could not even like possibly make it past birth, then I didn't think they should just not have children. And I don't know if I have a slide for my sources, but my sources were ifstudies.org, and then the YouTube video, and then medicine.net. So I went over what is an autosomal dominant disease, examples of these diseases, what it has to do with having children, and what happens if they decide to not have children. Then I discussed my point of view that children should not be forced to suffer because of a parent's want. I hope I persuaded you all in some way to think that those with autosomal dominant diseases should consider not having a child for the sake of their suffering. Thank you for listening. I do have a source.